Welcome back to your next processing video tutorial. In this video we're going to take a look at a very important programming concept which is called object-oriented programming. Throughout our program we've been creating essentially a representation of a real-world object. We've created this ellipse and we've given it a position and a size, and then we've changed its position, and then if the position is greater than the height or less than 0, we change the direction. But really, all we've done is we've created an ellipse and then we've had a couple of variables, and the variables change value depending on certain parameters. And that's all the computer sees. The computer sees a circle and a couple numbers. And if we were reading this and we hadn't written it, we may also just see an ellipse and a couple numbers. In this instance, because the program is really simple, we would be able to, most likely, understand what this is doing. This is creating an ellipse at a certain position. dy is a standard for the change in y, so we could possibly read this code and perceive that this is indeed a ball that's moving up and down. But the key here is that this is only an ellipse. It is not really a ball. And this object-oriented programming concept aims to create the ball and not just the ellipse. So what we are going to do is we're going to tell processing, look, instead of an ellipse, why don't we create a ball and then display the ball or move the ball? This makes it a lot easier for us as programmers to understand what's going on and to be able to write programs that make sense to other people and not only the computer. So what we are going to do is throughout the next few videos we're going to be working on this. And in this video the only thing we're going to do is we're going to create this new representation. And to do that we have to go to the New tab, and we get here the name for the new file. And it doesn't really matter what you name your new file, but I'm going to call it ball, and that creates the new file here. So we've got the bouncy ball underscore YouTube, which is my project name, and then we've got the ball. And here in this ball class, what we do is we write a few things. Public class ball, and this has to be the same as the file name. So in this instance, ball has to be the same as the new tab name that you've chosen. Public means that this file here is going to be readable by this other file, and we want that because we want to use it in here. And class means that all the code between these two curly braces is going to represent a real-world object. That's what it means. And in this real-world object we can define some properties of this object. So here, for example, we can define a y value and a dy value. So these two values here are the same that we had here. 105, 105. One thing we've added, however, is the private keyword. And what this private keyword means is that this value y and this value dy are not going to be accessible for any other files. So just like public means it is accessible, private means it is not accessible. And we want to keep it this way in order to protect our properties. We don't want other people changing easily y and dy unless we specifically tell them that they can. So this should be what we use by default in all our properties such as y and dy. So now we've got this representation of a ball, and what this is a piece of code that holds two numbers, y and dy. We want it to do something more. So let's create a piece of code that will let this ball move up. And we called what's called an action, set of behavior, or commonly known as a method or function. This function, called method in Java usually, is going to be public because the other file is going to use it. Void is a keyword that we don't really have to worry about right now. We'll come to it in a couple of videos time, so don't worry about it. And then move up is the name of the action that this ball can do. The pair of brackets, we shall also not worry about it for now. Things can go inside those brackets and we'll cover them later. And then obviously the curly braces here encompass or enclose the code that is executed by this action. And what we do here is we subtract dy, which is 5, from y. And I'm going back to the other file. This is more or less what we did in the draw method here. In the draw method we add, and here we're subtracting. Subtracting will always move the ball up, adding will always move it down. So it doesn't really matter how we do it for now. And now this ball holds two values, y and dy, but also we can tell it to change y by subtracting dy from it. And we can tell it to do that many times. And if we do it 2 times, then y will end up being 90. If we do it 3 times, it will be 85. So now this keeps track of where our ball is. And in the next video, we're going to add some more functionality and actually start treating this ball as something that can be drawn on the screen and things like that. So stick with me. Let's go into the next one where everything's going to be a lot clearer. I'll see you in the next video.